Good morning. It is Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. This is your Deep Dive Daily Briefing. I am your anchor, Cora, delivering a comprehensive analysis of the pivotal events that have defined the last 24 hours. We begin our broadcast with a cautious reprieve in the Middle East, as the 5-day strike postponement announced by United States President Donald Trump on Monday remains the primary focus of international diplomacy. Late yesterday, the president indicated that he had received a very big present related to oil and gas from Tehran, a statement that has fueled intense speculation regarding a potential breakthrough in negotiations to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Despite these optimistic signals from the White House, the Iranian state-owned press continues to deny that formal negotiations are taking place, while the Revolutionary Guard maintains its threat to retaliate against regional energy and water infrastructure should military operations resume. The humanitarian cost of the 3-week conflict continues to rise, with civilian casualties in Lebanon and Iran mounting as international mediators from Turkey and Egypt work around the clock to transform this temporary pause into a durable ceasefire.
Transitioning from the front lines of conflict to the broader global economy, the narrative is being shaped by the resilience of international markets in the face of divergent forces. The International Monetary Fund has maintained its 2026 global growth projection at 3.3%, citing front-loading activity ahead of trade policy shifts and the adaptability of the private sector as vital cushions. However, this stability remains underwhelming as the OECD prepares to release its interim economic outlook tomorrow. Economists warn that while energy prices have retreated from their wartime peaks, the prospect of higher for even longer interest rates remains a significant headwind. The global bond market, now valued at $109 trillion or 93% of world GDP, is under increasing pressure as debt servicing costs rise alongside the growing financing needs of the artificial intelligence revolution and national defense.
In the realm of finance, all eyes are on the leadership transition at the Federal Reserve as it enters a critical wait-and-see mode. Following the Fed's decision last week to hold interest rates steady in the 3.50% to 3.75% range, market participants are closely monitoring the communication style of Kevin Warsh, who is set to replace Jerome Powell as chair this May. Financial strategists at J.P. Morgan and Chase suggest that the likelihood of a rate cut before the end of the year has faded, with only one 0.25% reduction now expected. This cautious stance is driven by the reality that while U.S. inflation has moderated to 2.4%, it remains stubbornly above the 2% target, complicated further by the recent oil shock and stalling job gains. On Wall Street, equity risk is being actively reshaped by these geopolitical tensions, forcing institutional investors to balance aggressive upside speculative targets in technology against the need for defensive hedging in an era of multidimensional polarization.
Turning our attention to the technology sector, the focus remains on the massive build-out of artificial intelligence infrastructure and the arrival of the agentic era. Following the landmark announcements at GTC 2026 in San Jose, NVIDIA has confirmed that its new Vera Rubin AI platform, which integrates the Vera CPU and Rubin GPU, is now in full production and will be available in the second half of the year. This hardware is specifically engineered to support autonomous agents capable of independent reasoning, with cloud hyperscalers like Alibaba, ByteDance, and Oracle already confirmed as early adopters. Simultaneously, the industry is witnessing a pivot toward physical AI, with NVIDIA launching its Data Factory blueprint to automate the training of humanoid robotics. These advancements are occurring even as the industry faces a projected power ceiling of 92 gigawatts globally by next year, prompting major tech firms to collaborate with energy giants like GE Vernova and Siemens to resolve the growing infrastructure bottlenecks.
Finally, we look at the logistics and supply chain networks that serve as the vital arteries of global commerce, which are currently facing a period of intense structural rewiring. The ongoing closure of the Strait of Hormuz has forced every major ocean carrier, including CMA CGM and MSC, to officially suspend transits and reroute vessels around the Cape of Good Hope. This detour adds up to 14 days to voyage times and has triggered a massive spike in air freight rates as shippers scramble for alternatives for semiconductor-grade chemicals and petrochemical feedstocks. Logistics analysts at Zenita warn that this unpredictability is toxic for supply chains, as carriers reverse decisions on Red Sea transits due to the complex international context. As a result, 72% of trade professionals have now prioritized regionalized supply chains and AI-driven inventory positioning to mitigate the $3 billion weekly cost increment associated with this great reroute, signaling a permanent tax on global trade that will likely persist long after a ceasefire is reached. That concludes our global briefing for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Vivian.